show is about. He is an all-time athlete. I would vote him into the Hall of Fame. In his prime, I would have paid to watch him play. I can say that about very few athletes. But Westbrook has horrible judgment, is a terrible shooter, and has zero self-awareness. Self-awareness, I will tell you, young broadcasters, will save your job or get you good ones. Westbrook, as a basketball player, has none. Great example last night. Oh, forget the fact the Lakers blew a 26-point lead. I don't think they'd ever done that before. I'll get to that later. So at the end of the game, Lakers trailing, inbounding the ball. Oklahoma City, a really young player for Oklahoma City. We'll show the video here. He steals the ball, and he goes down, and he dunks the ball, and Westbrook unraveled, does what Westbrook does. He's very upset. He tells the kid, you can't be doing that. You can't be dunking and showing off, which is ironic. Westbrook, who still is the worst shooter of threes in league history for a guard, still cranks them up 4 times a game, is telling somebody else what shots to take. Isn't that interesting? Mr. Awful Shot, Mr. Bad Judgment, Mr. Bad Shot, telling a kid, yeah, you shouldn't shoot this shot. That's like Jameis Winston lecturing people on bad picks. Here's Westbrook after the game, why he was so upset with the kid.
How I play the game, and, I'm more old school, and like that happen, I don't let it slide. So, I take it on the chin and move on, but the game of basketball, certain things you just don't do. Like in baseball, look bad. There's certain things you just don't do in sports. Game already over. And I didn't like it. Simple as that.
Interesting. Let's rewind the tape to 21 seconds left in the game. Lakers down 3 out of a timeout. Let's watch what happens here. Out of a timeout. This wasn't the play that was called. 3 seconds, 21 seconds left in the shot clock. And the worst three-point shooter in the league shoots a 3. Is that what Frank Vogel dialed up? There's a saying in the NBA, open for a reason. Oklahoma City doesn't even attempt to guard him here. Watch this. They back off. They're begging him to shoot. 3 seconds into the shot clock, right out of a timeout, Westbrook takes and misses. He's shooting 17% this year on 3. This is the guy that is lecturing a kid, playing at home, sealing a win on what shot to take? You got to be kidding me. Like, new rule on the show. Russell Westbrook can do a lot of things. He can never tell any other player what shots to take. That's just a new rule on the show. And I don't want to pick on him, but the NBA didn't start really keeping stats until 1977, 1978, tracking individual turnovers, which is weird. Like, the NFL didn't track sacks until the 70s, which I always think is crazy. Deacon Jones would have gotten credit for so many. And the NBA didn't track individual turnovers until like the late 70s, which is always crazy to me. But once they did that, they have had 11 games in league history where a player has recorded a triple-double, committed at least 10 turnovers, and shot less than 50%. Westbrook has half of them. He is a tsunami of bad judgment, bad shots, and out-of-control unraveling basketball, but he's also wildly talented. And in his prime, I would have paid to watch him play. And I do think he gives you minutes and passion. He loves the game. I'm in on that. But he can't tell other guys what shots to take. Jameis Winston can't lecture anybody. Sam Darnold can't lecture anybody on interceptions. Johnny Manziel can't lecture guys on bad judgment. Jameis Winston can't lecture guys on pick sixes. By the way, just to throw this out, LeBron was out. And there are those who would suggest that LeBron could have played last night, but he kind of wants to sit out because he kind of wants to watch the Lakers without him to see if he can trust Westbrook with the ball in his hands. The Lakers lost a 26-point lead to the worst team in the league last night. Why is that noteworthy? Because until last night, the Lakers were 230-0, up by 25 points in basketball games. Westbrook arrives. They blow their first game leading by that much. New rule. Westbrook can do a lot of things. I'm not saying he can't shoot, but he can't tell other players, I don't like that shot. I don't approve of your shot. Dude, you want to talk about old school? The old school basketball that I remember, guys who couldn't shoot didn't shoot. You can't shoot, you shoot a lot. Okay? Let's move to this story. So Bart Scott used to play in the NFL, very good linebacker. Now he's a broadcaster. Not sure exactly where he's at. He's on First Take yesterday. Okay. And he was talking yesterday about the Case Keenum Baker Mayfield thing. This is not me saying it. This is a guy that played in the NFL, Pro Bowl or high level. He said, quote, there's nothing special about Baker Mayfield. He does less with more than any quarterback in football. When we discussed this yesterday, I said, Baker Mayfield's no dummy. He can see on the horizon what's happening. That, he's got a great O-line. He's got a great run game. And yet against Kansas City, he blew a lead against the Chargers. He was brutal late. And then Case Keenum comes in, and, they're both kind of the same size, and both were better kind of college quarterbacks than pro quarterbacks, kind of unheralded Texas recruits out of high school. And Case comes in, and he wins a game, and all the numbers are equal to Baker's numbers. And so what's interesting about this is, before the dam breaks, there's always leaks, right? A dam just doesn't break unexpectedly. There's leaks in the dam. There's leaks in the faucet. So this week, after Case Keenum replaced Baker and played up to Baker's level, one Cleveland player, the left tackle, said, no drop-off. And now Bart Scott says there's no difference. Now, it all starts with a trickle. Let me ask you a question. What if Case Keenum plays this week and beats Pittsburgh? Okay, now you're going to have a couple of media people saying stuff, and maybe another teammate saying stuff. Oh, let's add a little more momentum to it. Then Baker does come back and loses to Joe Burrow. What do you think? Forget my show. What do you think the topic's going to be in Cleveland, Ohio that Monday? Case goes 2-0, puts up similar Baker numbers. Baker comes back and doesn't quite look up to Joe Burrow's level. Baker Mayfield knows this. Baker Mayfield's no dummy. This all starts, we talk about this all the time, is that careers are about momentum. Baker didn't have any early, then last year at the end he had it, now he doesn't have it, now he gets hurt. And remember, it'd be one thing if Case Keenum played under Josh Allen, 6'6", big arm, huge athlete. Nobody would make these comparisons, but Baker is 6'1", 215, and Case is 6'1" and 215, and both were unheralded Texas high school recruits, and both need help to win games, and both, let's be honest, are marginally athletic, and there's not a big gap in Vegas on the betting lines when Baker leaves and Case comes in. And folks, this story, we just got a little trickle this week. Baker knows, I beat Pittsburgh. I shut all this down. Baker doesn't play, Case wins. You always look at me and think I'm Mr. Bad Guy. I went on Cleveland Brown Twitter this week. Cleveland Brown Twitter. Now, I think Baker's better than Case. You're starting to see the leak in the dam. Now I had to win over the Steelers for Case Keenum. Now you can see a bigger leak in the dam. Now Baker returns, which he probably would next week, and loses Joe Burrow. The dam breaks. And Baker knows it. He's no dummy. So Baker talked about his health and him coming back and playing.
If you go out there, you're scared, you're timid, that's how you really get hurt, seriously. And so I can't do that, So like I said, trying to get the strength back and be able to go as close to 100% as possible. And if that's not the case, then, we trust the guys we have out there.
I think a lot of people heard fractured bone, and the reaction was maybe Baker should shut it down. Was that ever discussed? Has that been discussed at all?
Shut it down as in for the season?
Yeah.
No. People talk on the outside.
Sure.
They don't know how I feel, nor do they decide whether I can go or not.
He has a literal chip on his shoulder now. There's like a bone chip in his shoulder. Baker sees it. To his credit, he sees it. Like you all think I'm Mr. Bad Baker. In Ohio now, when you lose the locals, forget about me, but when you lose the locals, you lose the room, right? Like if you're a politician and you run for president, if they don't even like you in your home state, if they don't like you in Ohio, you're from Ohio, you're not winning the presidency. So I can see if I was Baker, I'd be like, no, I'll play against Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's offense is absolutely dreadful. I think it's like 27th in points, and it's bad. It's really, in 2021, Pittsburgh's offense is Jurassic. It's terrible. Thank God they have a great defensive coach and great defensive personnel, and Najee Harris can play. But you lose your home state, You just watch. Case plays and wins this week. What do you think Monday's going to be like? Forget my show. What do you think they made saying in Cleveland Sports Radio? Because then Baker will be ready to come back. Good luck going to Cincinnati and beating Joe Burrow. And then the following week, going to New England against Belichick and beating Mac Jones, whose last 10 quarters, he's actually been pretty good. I mean, limited, but pretty good. The story, you got to see it around the corner. The story's around the corner. Baker, to his credit, sees it. He wants to play. I would be the same way. Fascinating what's happening to